Hi, welcome to Poppy Pickles Yoga. This is a short Christmas sequence to lift the heart, keep us feeling optimistic in these times of uncertainty. Okay, so we're going to start with kneeling. So if you can sit on your heels comfortably, then you're going to sit like so. If you need to have a bolster underneath the buttocks, then take that, especially if you've got a knee problem, or have a blanket. We're going to be sitting here for a little while. If you could also have a belt, it could be any length belt. I've got a short belt here and a long belt, but either will do. And a brick. Okay. So when we've done lots of walking or sitting, it's really important. Kneeling's one of those things that we don't do as often, unless you've got young children, then we kneel a lot. But just sitting on the front of the ankles, weight moving down through the heels is a good thing to do. And you can do it sitting watching TV, your Christmas movies. So just going to spend a little bit of time kneeling. Okay. So sitting with the buttocks on the heels, lifting the chest. Bring the arms in front and stretch the arms up into Urdhva Hastasana. So if you're stiff in the shoulders, or you feel the back of the shoulders lifting up, take the arms wider, keep the gaze lifted, stretching into the fingertips. Urdhva Hastasana. And then you can always see if you can bring the hands closer together. Bring the arms down. So whenever we bring the arms down, just remember we want to try and keep the side of the body lifted and not drop the body. We're going to interlock the fingers now for Urdhva Badangulyasana, upward facing basket pose. So keeping the weave of the fingers together, spreading the palms and the heel of the hands, stretch the arms up and over the head. And again, if you're stiff in the shoulders, start with the hands slightly forward, extend into the heels of the hands and slowly see if you can bring the arms up towards the ceiling and watch the lumbar in this position. So the movement needs to be coming from the armpits and the shoulders and not by just dropping the abdomen forwards. Keep the eyes soft and bring the hands down. Change the interlock. Rotate the palms. So if you're not quite sure what that means, your left little finger should now be at the bottom. The fingers are still on the outside of the hands. Okay, stretch the arms up. Have the gaze straight ahead. See if you can squeeze the outer upper arms together. Levelize the palms of the hands. Spread across the base of the knuckles. And then bring the arms down. Just rest the backs of the hands on the thighs for now. Okay, now we're going to stay kneeling if possible. If you've had enough kneeling, come out of it, stretch the legs out, and you can sit in cross legs on some support. Otherwise, we're going to go to Gomukhasana. So if you need a belt, have that ready over your left shoulder, right shoulder, sorry. Okay, stretch the right arm up. So that same lift that you just had for Urdhva Hastasana, now we turn the palm and we're trying to rotate the whole of the arm so that the outer upper arm comes forwards, the inner upper arm moves back by the ear. Bending the top arm down, stretching the elbow up. We then reach behind with the left hand, slide the back of the hand up and see if we can catch hold. So you can feel that this bottom shoulder wants to roll forward. So use the breath to spread that collarbone. If you can't catch hold of the fingers, you're going to hold the belt, stretch the top elbow up, move the bottom elbow down, and where the hands are in the center of the shoulder blades, move that area in. So we want to be slightly looking up in this position, stretching and opening from the armpit to the elbow. And release. Briefly resting the hands if you need the belt. Move it over to the opposite shoulder. Stretch the left arm up into Urdhva Hastasana. Rotate the palm, the whole, the root of the upper arm turning. Bend the top arm down. Reach behind, the back of the palm, back of the hand to the back. Stretch the top elbow up. And just feel what happens to the weight of the body. So we're keeping the sitting bones back on the heels and not dropping the abdomen forwards. Stretch the top elbow up, spread the bottom shoulder, lift the gaze slightly. So just if we drop the gaze forwards, it tends to mean the head is being pushed forwards. If we lift the eyes, we'll take the head back. Gomukhasana. And release. Rest the hands briefly on your knees. Okay, just move your block and belt out the way for a moment. If you can spare to stay kneeling, then do. We're just going to stretch and open the side body now. So starting by going to the right, you're going to bring your hand down, keep the arms straight. Okay, we're kind of trying to keep the trunk turning towards the front of the room. Stretch the top arm up in line with your shoulder. This is a bit like Parshvakonasana. Try to keep pressing into that left sitting bone as you stretch the top arm over the head. And you can look up towards the ceiling, or you can stay with the head facing forwards. Keep the space around the sides of the neck. Come back to the centre. And the same on the other side. So leaning away, but pressing into that opposite sitting bone. Stretch the top arm up, first of all, in line with the shoulder girdle, and then stretch the arm over the head. So if you wanted to try going further down, yeah, stretch the arm further away, but try not to let this bottom side ribs move back. So we're keeping the trunk facing forwards. And come up. Okay, we're going to take the brick now and hold it between the hands. When we did Gomukhasana, I talked about getting the arm to turn right from the root of the arm. We're going to keep both elbows pointing in. Okay, we'll first of all lift the brick up so it's in line with the forehead. Okay, elbows in. And then we're going to keep lifting the elbows up and take the hands back over the head. And we're aiming to get to a parallel position with the forearms and vertical with the upper arms. Okay, and we want to watch this action. So the opening comes from the armpits and not from the movement of the lumbar. Squeeze the brick together, squeeze the elbows together. Hold if you can. And then release. Just rest the brick on the thighs. Right, once again for luck, bring the arms up, brick in front of your forehead. Elbows in, shoulders down, inhale as you exhale. And if you need to take a wider block, if that feels too narrow, then take a block. Lift up from the armpits to the elbows, push the brick back, tummy button to spine, and then bring the brick down. And then we're going to stretch out the back of the legs together now. So coming forwards onto all fours. Stretch out one leg, drawing the kneecap up into the knee, then the other leg, and then coming up into downward dog. So take the knees slightly back from the hips, tuck the toes under, come up into your downward dog. So think about stretching out the back of the thighs, spreading the back of the knees, lifting and opening the front of the ankles. I've got nice red marks on mine. And relax and release the head. And if you need to come out of downward dog, then do. Don't have to follow exactly the timings that I give. Okay, those of you that can, see if you can walk the feet forwards. Come to Uttanasana, either fingertips to the floor, or fingertips to your shins, or you can come into Adho Mukha Virasana if you're feeling tired. Look forwards if you can. And come up. Okay. Right, we're going to come up to a standing position, Parshvakonasana. Okay, so facing the narrow edge of your mat, we're going to step one foot forwards, another foot back. So stepping forwards with the right foot, step the left foot back. Okay. Get the hips to turn, have the weight equally in both feet. So you can go wider than this, But if you're stiff in the calf muscles or the ankles, you can start with a smaller step. Okay, hands on your hips to begin with. Look up, stretch the arms up into Urdhva Hastasana, and then lifting right from the breastbone, look up towards the ceiling, pressing into the back foot. Strongly draw the lower abdomen back towards the spine. Stretch the arms up and back. Come up. Bring the hands down. And step the feet together. And then change sides. So the left foot forwards, right foot back. Pressing into the back foot. Get your balance first of all. So if you feel like you're wobbling, press into the big toe mound of the front leg. Strongly pressing into the heel of the back thigh, pressing back, front thigh lifting, lift the arms up into Urdhva Hastasana, and then lifting up out of the pelvis, taking the upper chest in, lean back slightly, and look up at the ceiling. So feel that you're lifting your breastbone towards the ceiling and not just your eyes. Bring the arms down and step the feet together. Okay, if you have a long belt, you can get that now, otherwise you should be okay with a shorter belt. Just going to adjust that camera. So have a loop in your belt. I'm going to take my long belt. Doesn't matter about the size of the loop particularly. I've got quite a big loop there. So we're going to repeat Parsvottanasana. It's a good pose to get that upper back moving in. We're going to put the belt around the back foot. Okay. So if you've got a shorter belt, have a shorter loop, otherwise you're going to use up too much of your belt. Because I've got a long belt, I've got still plenty left. Okay. So at this time, I'm going to start in Tadasana towards the back end of my mat. Turn the back foot out and step forwards with the right foot. So I'm holding the belt and I'm going to put the belt now over the back of my body, over my shoulder. I'm going to reach round and hold now with both hands. And when we had the brick earlier on, we brought the outer elbows together. We're going to do the same action now. Outer elbows together. Take the hands back. Pull the belt. Lift the upper body, upper chest. And then see if you can straighten the arms. Taking the arms back, pressing into the back heel. And just watch that abdominal action. Abdomen towards the spine. So feel the base of the shoulder blades lifting up. Good. Bring the gaze down. Bend the arms. And then carefully step the feet back together. Change sides. So now I'm going to put the loop around my right foot. Okay, I'm just going to stay holding the belt, turning the right foot out. Step forwards. Nice wide stride. So quite often we go into Vera 1. We're going to keep both legs straight though for this one. Okay, so taking the belt behind you, elbows up, both hands holding the belt, press the heel back onto the belt, lift the lower abdomen away from the front thigh, bring your elbows towards each other, gaze ahead, and then pull on the belt and stretch the arms up. So it's going to open the armpits. Take the hands back behind you. See if you can straighten your arms. Don't worry if you can't. Remembering to take the lower ribs back. And then if you can, look up at the ceiling. Keep pulling the belt, pressing the back heel down, lifting the lower abdomen away from the front thigh. And then head forwards. Release the arms. Carefully step the feet together. Okay. So stretching out the legs and lifting the heart, which I feel that we need at the moment. We're going to come down onto the floor. If you've got your period, it'd just be best to avoid this section. Lie in Supta Baddha Konasana, take plenty of support, okay? Otherwise, you're just going to come onto your front body. You may need 2 bricks. Okay, so I'm going to have my 2 bricks here by the front of the mat. So come onto the front of your body and lift each thigh, point the toes back and stretch the front of the thigh back so that we connect the front of the groins to the mat. It's a bit crampy, just to warn you now. So same on the other side. Stretch the front of the thigh back. My feet are hip width apart, and I'm trying to slightly roll to the outer edges of my feet so that this lower back area can spread. Right, I'm just going to move the bricks out the way for now. Right. Okay, so pressing the front of the ankles down, moving the tailbone towards the heels. I'm going to interlock the hands behind my back. So we need to lift the shoulders and stretch the upper arms back, keeping the legs down. So we're not going to lift the legs. We're going to look forward, so lift the head, look forwards, draw the arms back, lift the breastbone, draw the shoulders back, and lift the head. So the lower ribs staying on the floor, breastbone lifts, and then back down to the floor. Take a few inhalations. Change the interlock on the hands. If this is too tight for your shoulders, you can take a belt. Yeah, have a belt, hold it apart, and then use the belt to lift. Okay, so changing the interlock, lift the head, pull the arms back, lift the hands slightly away from the back of the body, spread the collarbones, shoulder blades, moving into the upper back, look up, and lengthen to come down. Just release the hands for a moment, rest the elbows on the floor. Make sure the front of the body is still connected to the mat. Okay, and now we're going to bring the hands a little bit closer in, elbows in towards the sides of the body. We're going to do Bhujangasana, so similar action. Lift the head, draw the upper arms back, press the hands down. Now we're lifting a little bit higher off the floor, so the pubis stays on the floor. The shoulder blades move into the back and then lengthen to come down. Bhujangasana. So these are known as the baby back bends, but they're not very babyish, but we need to get into this habit of working from the upper back and not from the lumbar. So shoulders back and down. Feel the base of the shoulder blades moves in. Look forwards, press the hands down, and come up into Bhujangasana. So watch the shoulders, shoulders down away from the ears. Look slightly up and then lengthen to rest back down. Okay, one more for luck. Elbows back, press the hands down, look up, come into Bhujangasana. Almost trying to arch the body back and then lengthen to come forwards. And you can just rest the forearms on the floor. Take a few breaths there. Okay. Right, next pose is going to be Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. So this is where you might need your 2 bricks. Okay, so 2 bricks here. Again, coming onto the front of the body, take the hands back onto the bricks. This time we're going to tuck the toes under. So we'll start the same method of doing the other poses, looking forwards, drawing the upper arms back, pressing the pubis down, and then lifting all the way up into Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. So again, lift from the breastbone, shoulders down, and then come forwards and rest. Okay, and then repeating twice more. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana with your hands on the bricks. So in your own time. And those of you more experienced, you might want to try without the bricks. If you're struggling to come up into Urdhva Mukha Svanasana from the bricks, you can try coming into it from Adho Mukha Svanasana. I'll just quickly show that way. So same principles, and then coming down. Okay, so rest for a moment, head on your hands, take the heels apart, relax the eyes. And then everyone coming up into downward dog. and keep the head looking forwards. So we want to keep the upper back moving in for this position. So look forwards, look forwards, look forwards. Squeeze the shoulder blades into the upper back and then slowly release the head. So keep that feeling of the upper back drawing in your downward dog. And then bring the knees down to the floor and sit back on your heels. Okay, right. We're now going to do Supta Virasana. So we're starting to cool down. This is a very good pose to do after your Christmas lunch, but it's not accessible for everyone. So the pose without support is to sit between your heels. Okay, go a little bit closer. Okay, so buttocks go between the heels. Lengthening the buttocks towards the backs of the knees, coming down to the floor, and then keeping that length on the back of the body and arms stretching over the head. Now this is very strong for most people on the front of the thighs. If you can manage Supta Virasana on the floor, then do. Okay, for most of us, we need a bit of extra height. Okay, so you can take a blanket, and especially if you've been overindulging, give yourself some support. So a bolster and a folded blanket is a good way to start. Okay, so you may need a bit of height under your buttocks, so you can take a block, lengthen again the tailbone towards the backs of the knees, and then you can fold the elbows over the head or take the arms out to the sides. Okay, so that's another version. If both of those are not accessible for you, then you can lean your bolster against the wall, okay, or against a chair. So take a couple of blocks there. Okay, lean the bolster, and then sitting on a couple of blocks like so. I haven't got much wall. Okay, so exactly the same actions, lengthening the tailbone towards the heels. You might want to take a little bit of extra height to support the head, and then arms out to the sides or holding the elbows if that feels comfortable. Okay. So whichever Supta Virasana you're doing, you want to do it for a good 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, if you need to come up and have a break and then go back down again, then do. But I will join you in the pose and we'll do it for a little bit of time. So if you feel any discomfort in the lumbar, add some more height, or take the top of the buttock flesh and move it away from the lower back. Relax the eyes, relax the tongue in the mouth, and let the body gradually inhabit the pose. So initially you'll feel a lot of resistance. If you have ankle problems, do give yourself more height, otherwise there's too much pressure on the front of the ankles. And the same with knee problems. And if you do have a serious knee problem, this pose is not accessible to you, then do Supta Baddha. if you'd like to stay longer in the pose, just stay where you are. If you've had enough pressing down with the hands, slowly come up to a seated position and then leaning to one side and then the other. Stretch the legs out in front of you. Pressing down through the heels, spreading and opening the backs of the knees, just sitting up straight and tall in Dandasana. Okay, so from there we're going to come into Shavasana. And you can use the bolster under the backs of the knees and the blanket under the head. So make sure you're somewhere quiet where you won't be disturbed. Put on some extra layers if you need them. Draw the top of the blanket to the top of the shoulders. Move the blocks out the way. And take the palms out to the sides. Lengthen the lower back. Let the knees fall wide on the support. And release and relax the body to the floor. Gently bringing the hands back to rest on the body, bending the legs up one at a time, and just hug the knees in towards the chest. Have space between the shins. You can flex and point the feet, extending the heels away, spreading the balls of the feet, extending the toes away, and then just slightly moving from one side of the sacrum to the other, going over the sacrum, gently moving the knees and the legs from side to side. And then rolling onto your right hand side or whichever side you have space on, staying for a moment with the legs curled up, resting your head on your hand. Let the eyes softly open and then pushing yourself up to a seated position. Thank you very much. So I hope you have a really good festive period and enjoy Christmas and New Year, and I'll see you in the new year.